I want to welcome everybody here, Allison, Alan, Brooke, and Corey. Biggest thing is I'm leaving this up here for you all. We don't do soft intros. We're not going to spend a lot of time having them tell you about their history. If you don't know the rock stars, you should do your research, but they are very amazing people and we have them here for a reason. And the Innovation District turns 10. And so we're trying to figure out what's next for St. Pete. We're looking at everything that St. Pete is doing from the numbers of the model, and we're seeing right now there's more than $3 billion in economic impact and over 10,000 jobs supported across just 560 acres in downtown. These are some of the most amazing things I've seen, and we have some of the most movement. I would say right now, between us, there's nobody bigger besides Miami with the money, and then you have Orlando, but Tampa is still right there, the strong number two, but number one for millennials coming to this area. So I want to get the audience involved right now, just in case you didn't get your coffee. Hands up if you work inside 727 Pinellas County right now. Show of hands. Okay. All right. Keep your hands up, don't lose. You got to stretch a little bit. It's okay. But keep your hand up if you could afford to buy a medium home in St. Petersburg today in March, and that number is about $500,000. Allers. Look, Jesus, we did not charge enough for these tickets. This should have been about fine today. Okay. Thank God. So you have to put your hands down now. So, Allison, the district you run generated $3 billion, 10,000 jobs on less than 1% of the city's land. In the same decade, the district lost 400 apartments renting under $1,000 a month, and household income here nearly doubled. Most of the hands in the room actually didn't go down. So let me ask you the version of the question your board doesn't answer. For the next 10 years, is your job to grow the number or to change who the number reaches? And if it's both, which one loses when they conflict?
Which number?
The amount of people that can actually afford the housing where the money is distributed.
So first, let me correct some data. There were not 400 apartments in the Innovation District. If you're familiar with that area, it's south of downtown. It's a business district. And if you know the tradition of St. Petersburg in particular, business districts and residential districts by zoning didn't overlap. So you didn't have businesses necessarily in residential, and you didn't have residential in business. Now, that has changed in the last decade as we've seen neighborhoods want to get more or business style amenities like a little coffee shop, a pizza place, a neighborhood shop. And you're seeing more and more the business districts being the home for multifamily housing. So, where a business district can really play is in the multifamily housing sector and creating more opportunities for housing, particularly housing that then allows for eliminated cars if possible. So, you can live, work close by each other, that you can either use transit or walk to your employment center. So, part of the reason, two things are going on kind of at the same time when you talk housing in this region and candidly all over the world. Here in St. Petersburg, as you all know, probably salaries are depressed. Salaries have been depressed for decades. So part of the intentionality of something like an innovation district was to go after those science and tech jobs or jobs that had a natural base that was higher and tended to be a little more recession proof. And there's a lot of history and research around that I'm happy to share with you. At the same time, then creating those jobs, creating that space for people so that the salaries are better. And then looking at these creative multifamily housing situations. I run a building called the Maritime and Defense Tech Hub in the Innovation District. I don't spend less than $2,000 anytime a vendor comes in there to repair something. The cost of vendors, the cost of buildings is insane. So when you think about building, you also then get creative about maybe a smaller apartment as a starter apartment. Maybe the idea that you have this mix, bigger, smaller, so you can transition within a building. So that's something we're really looking at. And we're trying to create multifamily housing in the Innovation District to complement the businesses and the jobs we're creating at the same time.
That's impressive. So for my other panelists, what do you think is the biggest misconception that the Tampa Bay innovation ecosystem is self right now?
I mean, I think, well, good morning, everyone, and thanks for coming out. My name is Corey McCaster. I with Pinellas County Economic Development, the Office of Small Business. And one of the things that we see time and time again when we start talking about the misconceptions is really
Look grateful to your mouth with the mic.
is really around the capital access. When you look at capital access, the numbers are growing. Venture capital is here. However, when you take a deeper dive and start looking into the venture capital and where the money is coming from out of state. And then on top of that, it's going to late stage or later stage businesses. It's not going to the seed funded startup type businesses, the ones who need capital to get off the ground. And I think so more focus on that front end of the actual system to make sure that small businesses or that early stage businesses really get the funding and the support from lenders as well as venture capitalists, angel investors. Because the more we could do that, I think it builds a whole ecosystem. I think that later stage businesses are always going to get the funding that they need because they're off the ground and they're running already. It's the individual that comes with a great idea, a great concept. I think right now is struggling to get the funds that they need in order to get their business off the ground.
Uh, Hi, everybody. My name is Alan Clary, the University of South Florida Entrepreneurship Center. It's the center and the program that I lead. I'm also an alum of the program. So the Entrepreneurship Center, USF, and the lovely Allison's on my board, which is fantastic. We span both the main Tampa campus, but also the St. Petersburg campus, where I spend a lot of time as well, going back and forth. And frankly, the St. Petersburg campus is the one we always talk about, the beautiful campus that everybody would like to go to, palm trees and so forth. Huge asset, which I'd be more excited to talk about the campus we have here in St. Petersburg. But misconceptions. So it's funny you were telling that story. I kind of got my start here in Tampa early on as a co-founder of the Tampa Bay Wave. Who's heard of the Tampa Bay Wave? Okay, so I went through this journey. And Linda Olson is a friend, of course. We started the Tampa Bay Wave because of that problem. Well, if you ask Linda, she'll tell you we started the wave because it was really hard to get that early stage capital for tech startups. And by the way, all startups don't have to be tech. And so I want to make sure we clear about this. But it was a big lane that I was in, 15 years ago. And we started because we couldn't we couldn't find the angel investors. So we couldn't find the early stage capital. And we ultimately did that. Tampa Bay Wave, by the way, has kind of cracked the code on that in a lot of ways. So is Embark and so forth. But it's very Tampa centric. Like I just went to a Wave event last week, and there was room was full of angel investors. Their cohort that they were doing, the Tech X cohort and so forth. But I came to the FinTech cohort last year, and it was a packed ballroom on the St. Pete campus. So, but I do think that people kind of dip in and back to misconception. People kind of dip in and out of St. Pete more than they should, right? As Tampa, I feel like is still where the capital tends to be clustered. There's a lot of high net worth individuals, a lot of potential investors, probably more in St. Pete and the beaches than per capita than Tampa, but they just aren't organized. They're kind of down there just enjoying themselves and a little less serious about writing checks, unless you corner one, right? Which I got a lot of stories on this. By the way, I love this story. I raised capital for my own tech startup back then with the Wave. I've been a part of tens of millions of dollars of capital raising in this area with other startups. But I could go on and on this topic. It's a heavy topic for me in terms of early stage capital, but misconceptions, I think it was the big thing was, I think that St. Pete's has all this creativity, all this talent, and lots of high net worth money floating around, but I still don't quite see it coalescing regularly the way I see it in Tampa. And that's something I would love to see change, because it's about the St. Pete story and the St. Pete vibe is like a 5X. It's like 5X more interesting than Tampa. It really is. I mean, every conversation I'm in with friends is, St. Pete's so cool, great. So why isn't it happening? So yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, I think one of the misconceptions is that over here in 727, we're not serious about business. People still perceive St. Petersburg as palm trees and sunshine and where people go to vacation, and they do. But there is an incredible amount of business and innovation happening here. And that is a part of our story, kind of to what all of you said, that is not getting out there enough. And that's a tremendous opportunity. I think, for all of us. Part of that is going to come from getting our ecosystem more coalesced when it comes to early stage funding. I think it's going to continue to grow as you see a lot of collaboration around all business support at early stage, not just tech. We're going to one of these days have one of the big noteworthy exits, and I think that that will shift and put us on the map.
Penny order.
Penny order, yep. And
Big-
but also then keeping the founders here.
He left.
So
We
that's
care.
that's going to be the next part. So some of this was a little bit predicted when we did some of our studies. So first thing we'll start off with, Brooke. You know before anyone else does. So give us a number or a pattern of what you've actually seen in the last 12 months.
Oh, thank you so much. First of all, too, I really would love to connect with everybody here on LinkedIn. Just a quick note, my first name does have an E on the end if you're looking for me on LinkedIn. That's okay. So my day job is that I run a co-working space. We are not an incubator. We are not completely tech centric. We are very much by intention and design uh, industry agnostic, and that makes for an amazing, rich, thriving community. I also, by nature of that, I always like to consider myself and our space as the canary in the coal mine. I feel it before anybody else does when things are going great and when things are going poorly. Uh, Unfortunately, space, connection, community, those things are perceived as expenses. And like times are either actually getting tough or people predict that they're going to get tough. They start cutting those expenses, right? So here's what I'm saying over the past 12 months is really encouraging. My very small companies are vacating their very small spaces to get much larger spaces within my space. 5 years ago, I couldn't hold on to those onesie twosie offices because everybody from the Northeast was moving down here to start their new job or their new life. Now what I'm seeing is that businesses are here and they are staying here and they are investing in this ecosystem and they are growing here and hiring here. So I think all of us should feel really encouraged. And I also want to throw in there, I have several marketing firms in our building. All the doom and gloom around AI is going to kill marketing, everything is going to be done. Absolutely not. I have 5 marketing agencies and they cannot hire fast enough. They have more business than they know what to do with. So when we see businesses across all sectors embrace technology, embrace collaboration, then we see them getting in front of the curve. And this is where I see St. Petersburg going, being ahead of the curve, right? Continuing good things to go.
Allison, part of that is like the master plan, what we just heard. But what was the answer in the last 10 years? In the last 10 years versus where we're going right now? What do we accumulate in the last 10 years that'll help guide us for the next 10 years?
So, in the last 10 years, there's been an intentional focus on what they call sectors. So, we were, as a community, both in the city of St. Petersburg, but also Pinellas County, and Corey's office led this charge. We define core target industries. And so, just to give you the St. Pete ones, because those are ones that roll off my head, life science, marine science, data and technology or data analytics, specialized manufacturing, creative art and design, and fintech. So at that time, the focus was recruit, focus, build those sectors so that you have a cluster. And then as new businesses are started in that cluster, they have opportunities for acquisition. People have an opportunity to progress their career because they may move sideways or laterally through that. In the more recent time frame, we're pivoting that conversation. We're still keeping that eye on clusters, but you have this idea of emerging technology that crosses industry. So looking more and more, I think, adaptability around how does AI apply both in life science and marine science? How does autonomy apply in everything from marine science to space to aviation? So looking at that a little bit different. I call it the bingo card. My joke is we have a bingo card going on. And so we're looking at the cross section of where these things align. I'll also say too, what could be considered industry clusters, but I think they're bigger and broader than that, is maritime. Particularly, you're going to see around all kinds of uses of maritime, everything from NOAA and predicting hurricanes to connectivity to aerospace to connectivity to defense. And you're going to hear about, I think, later today. And then also just the aerospace area and aviation. So, what's going to happen with air taxis? What's going to happen with all these really interesting autonomous and other platforms for aerospace? So, those are things I think you're going to see this pivot in conversation, looking at tech companies that can apply multi sector potentially. And how do they create partnerships and collaborations across those sectors?
I would definitely add to that. One of the things we have to pay attention to is the manufacturing industry. So kind of shifting into, yeah, I'm about to ask Corey a question right now. So kind of filling into that, Corey, you have these gaps that are being filled and you operate that. So the county fills financial gaps on projects like the 264 unit in Fairfield Avenue apartments. When Pinellas small business owners tell you that they can't hire because nobody can afford to live near the job, what tool do you actually have in place, or what are we actually doing to fill that problem? Because we have a workforce issue that we're going to have to start dealing with.
Oh, I'm sure everyone in the room probably has heard about the penny for Pinellas, and I think that is the key piece that's being utilized right now by the county to try to help increase the stock in terms of affordable housing in the area, partnering on different projects around Pinellas County to ensure that if business owners are trying to get started or want to hire, that there's affordable housing in the area. In addition, I think one of the things that we have as a tool, but it's more of an indirect tool, is our set ramp, our is skills enhancement training ramp, which allows for business owners to go in and be able to train or get funding to train their workers in the area of high tech, high wage jobs. And so, with that being said, if they get the right training, if the employees are trained right, that they can get the wages that they need in order to afford the housing costs that are here in Pinellas County. I think with those two tools, those are the main things that we have to try to address it at this point. But I always say, in rooms like this, some of the things that's key is just making sure that as we move forward and progress, that individuals are utilizing the services that are available. And on top of that, when you have an opportunity to say something about affordable housing in many different circles, that you do so, because it is absolutely important to everything that we do for everybody that's up here. We can't really do our work without the people, and the people need housing.
Before I go back to Alan, Brooke, I wanted to ask you a quick question. Your membership start around $99 a month. Is that still true?
Yes.
So when someone leaves St. Pete, what is the reason they actually give you, not the things they post on the internet? Why are they actually leaving St. Pete?
Ooh, okay. So, I'm going to answer this from the perspective of my space and people I've had direct conversation with in that context. What I saw was a huge influx of population during COVID and just after. He boomed. We had a lot of people move from the Northeast, from larger communities where they had a very high salary and they brought their high paying remote tech jobs here to St. Pete. And as we have seen over the past several years, economy, AI, layoffs had been massive. And I think what we've seen is a real glut of high skilled talent here in our job market looking and competing against each other for already very slim jobs. As Allison noted, we don't notoriously pay well here. And when you're used to making $250,000 from your Boston job, and the reality strikes you that you're competing for other people for a $90,000 a year tech job, all of a sudden your lifestyle that you've built is untenable. And and so we've seen a lot of people return back, either by return to office mandates or just simply because that job opportunity evaporated. Um, I have mixed feelings on that personally.
We are.
But right, like I want people to be here to invest here and invest in our ecosystem and continue to build our businesses, to continue to use the services that are here, not just live part time here and take advantage of the sunshine when it's convenient. So,
I look at this as a rebalancing in our population, and I do think that that is a huge issue. Another one I'm seeing a lot of is schools, unfortunately. That's not really a topic to address here, but you asked the question and I'm answering it.
We answer the hard questions here. We
Yep.
answer the hard questions.
Our young families are highly disappointed in our opportunities for education here. I won't go too much more into that, but
You on Allen will though. Allen.
well, let me just answer one other thing too, because this is good. I'm going to bring it back around to community, and that is my expert area. Is that we see a lot of young people who are single moving to this community, and I don't think we as a community are embracing them enough, and that is either by lack of intentionality.
Eddie on the embracing part. Eddie. Yes.
So I think we see a lot of people struggling through loneliness who move here. They have a great job, they love the lifestyle here, but they're finding it very hard to connect with our community. So I'm going to just give myself a plug. My $99 co-working membership is intended to attract just those people, right? We want to give people a way to tap into what we have going on in St. Petersburg and find people like them on that same journey as them. That community connection, I think, is going to be vital if we want to retain good, smart people here. And I believe that is as important as the housing question.
I thought she was about to say for $99 she helped people date. I thought she was going. I was like, yes, figure this out. So
Allen, and I would just say that group, I think between 24 and 48 is a critical group. Because you really think about it, they touch just about every part of the economy. You know, every part, from taking a kid to the hospital with a broken arm, to paying for a baseball, to going out to movies, just buying a wash machine. They touch everything. And so if we don't focus on that group and we still have a net negative migration of that age group, it's going to have a good impact on it's going to have an impact on our economy. So I would say, definitely, going forward, looking at that age group of 24 to 48, it's critical. How can we incentivize and keep those individuals in our area? Because it's a critical thing for all of us.
Allen, USF undergraduates entrepreneurship program jumped to number 24. Congratulations, by the way. You are getting much better at producing founders in this region, and that is getting harder to afford. So it's kind of a catch-22. Are you training people for Tampa Bay? Are you training people for Austin and Nashville with a Tampa Bay diploma? Or actually, are you leading these students to stay here where they're actually learning that?
Yeah, thanks for the question. You're right. We've had an increase in our undergrad program that has moved into the actually the top 20 among public universities. So what's great about that ranking? That's amongst all universities. We're actually 14 amongst all public universities undergrad. We just entered the rankings last year.
So y'all are doing better than Florida State's football team.
A second. Our graduate program has been in the top 10 amongst public universities over more than 10 years. But the question, I spent a lot of time with our entrepreneurial students at University of South Florida. We have a tremendous amount of applicants for our competitions. We run multiple competitions every semester. These are startup competitions, not just pitch, but also we have problem solving competitions. We have business plan championship competitions. So we're multiples every semester. As Allison knows, the board's trying to get me to so many every week. There's something we're doing. That last week we had a high school summer camp for high school kids, entrepreneurship, and so I've actually got a lot of these students like events like this. They're in their early 20s and they're competing and they're winning thousands of dollars to move their needle forward and so forth. I get to meet and talk to all of them, and I know most of them by first name, and I'm finding most of them love Tampa. And even though they're all stuck up at the Tampa campus for the most part, that's not enough to deter them. So my ground truth on this with the young undergrads at University of South Florida is they love being here, and that they love the friendliness of our people, not only at USF but in the community. They're just now starting to meet some of the kind of the community leaders, like the entrepreneurial support organizations around the city. But I constantly get positive feedback. We've got some local investors that have invested in some of our student startups at USF. Actually, that's happening. So, I mean, I'm a little bit of an optimistic, kind of bullish, kind of mindset person, so I do get a little bit rose-colored on things. I've not seen. I know that I haven't of the dozens and dozens of students that I interact with. I've not seen anyone, and by the way, half of those probably came from out of state to the University of South Florida, came from another part of the state, so it's a pretty good sample size. I can't think of a single one that kind of wasn't feeling it and was like eager to go back. In fact, it's the opposite. Most of the ones I'm thinking of right now are like they're excited not to go back to their parents' home, not back to where they grew up, whether it be up north or another part of Florida, and they want to stay here because the love and the energy is all there. I feel like we can unlock more of that. It's just it's an incredible city. Tampa Bay. If you guys, I mean, I know you guys know this, but I mean, I know most of you probably travel, but man, it's this incredible place. The airport's amazing. The beautiful blue water, all the causeways, the where I like to say all the friendly Midwestern influence that's here, and all the friendly people. And I mean, I mean, most people come visit, whether we're talking about university students or their parents who show up, or my friends. They're blown away with this. It happens every time. I don't know of another city. I'm sorry, I am a little rude, but I think the facts speak for it. Alice wants to say something.
I was just going to add, I get calls a lot from young people who are about to graduate or have recently graduated and trying to figure out where to go get a job. And I think two things are happening simultaneously. One is that there's lack of opportunity around internships and work while you're in school, which gives you that practical life skills situation because we predominantly, particularly in Pinellas County, have a lot of mid-sized small businesses. It's a harder ask for them to take on a brand new, very green individual who doesn't have any skill set because they've got to think about how do I train this person? How do I bring them up to speed? Wouldn't it be ideal if they were already coming in with some of those basic skills? So we definitely have the issue of creating more opportunities for internships and work experience while they're in school so that at least, even if that work experience isn't directly related to their degree, it is, hey, I know how to show up on time. I know how to be professional. I know how to answer emails, things that life asks of you. And then also with our businesses, how do they handle an entry level person or how do we create those opportunities for those young professionals who may not have much skills in that area? Think about your own businesses. Could you handle, whether it's through admin requirements or other things, somebody green coming out of school? Could you put that person into your business and figure out how to make them, grow and learn? That can be challenging. So those are things we're working on is trying to get creative solutions, working with partners on those.
Allison, Mike, could add one more thing. Alice just reminded me of the huge kind of blind spot I live in every day. This in the sample set that I work with. I mean, all those young people I was thinking of and talking about, they're all trying to start their own businesses. So you're right. I do think what interaction I have with entry level jobs, I agree with Allison. I'm just on an anecdotal level that seems to be real. And I kind of know that to be real. But from a young aspiring entrepreneur who wants to just start a business and find customers and find potential investors and banking relationships. By the way, I could think of the 3 or 4 banking relationships that are amazing here too. I feel like it's very strong. I guess that's a nice contrast between trying to find a great job versus trying to start a company or start a business.
Yeah, I mean, I had to grow a beard to not get treated young, and I understand the frustrations of what they're going through. I think what we want to talk about also is the capital nobody counts. By any chance, could anybody tell me what you think Pinellas County raised in venture capitalists or funds, the number that we had the first half of the year? Yep. Tampa Bay startups, how much do you think they raised the first half? Well, Tampa Bay is, you could do all of it. 30. So 30 times 10, $300 million. Now, can anybody tell me what it is about? Can you tell me what you think Miami raised the first half of the year? 2.1 billion. Now, the reason why I bring that up is there's non-dilutive funds that we don't focus on. How many people here are actually part of your Chamber of Commerce or ever heard of your CRAs or are actually doing work with the government? Raise your hands. Okay, so y'all don't want to make money. Reason why I mention that is because most of you need to understand there's probably a single $1 billion company that doesn't have some form of a government contract. When you think about making money, you're going to want to work with the government. Pinellas County has 24 municipalities within it. Hillsborough County only has 3 municipalities. 3 chances, 24 chances. Blind date, I'm going with 24. So, Corey, the government contracting is the largest non-dilutive capital channel this county and the tech ecosystem has, but it almost behaves as if it doesn't exist. Whose failure is that? The entrepreneurs or the government itself?
Well, I gotta say it's a little bit of both. Andrew, in that, yeah, I mean, and just being honest, because when you look at it, when there's a small business that's getting started, want to go into the government space, they are looking pretty much, in speaking from sales, the traditional sales channels that they have not been exposed to government contract and understanding the language and at the bidder literacy that's needed in order for them to be successful. Understanding a contract, understanding how to put your bids together is a whole new world, a whole new language for them.
Real quick, Corey, I want to add to that because anybody here ever submitted an RFP? So y'all been through the pain. Y'all just not doing the business. Huh? Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. And so looking at that and then making sure that small businesses understand the language and understanding how to put in proper bids is a key thing for us. In my office, there's the Office of Small Business and in the SBDC as well as the Apex programs that are designed to help small business owners understand how to do, and bid for contracts within Pinellas County as well as across the state. The Apex program is really good in helping businesses understand how to get federal contracting, putting together proposals, understanding how to get their business in front of the right buyers. Every year, partner with the hub to bring in the Navy captains. I can't think of the actual name of the programs that I do. I apologize. We're bringing the Navy for them to buy the SBR STTR program every year to come in and to be able to share with us exactly what they're looking for and the requirements that's needed in order to purchase goods directly from the Navy. If you're missing those opportunities and you're interested in doing federal work, I would say, definitely go to our website, pce.org, look for small business. And we always have our events there where you can come out and connect. One year we had not only the Navy, we had the Air Force as well that was here, telling us exactly what you need to do in order to buy from the actual Air Force. So
Also, y'all had the reverse trade show now in its 15th year, and that put 120 businesses in front of 24 billion in agency and private contract.
yeah, and that's really focusing more on our local SBE program, our small business enterprise program, which allows businesses to be able to do direct work with Pinellas County. I would say, kind of getting back to the focus of the question, when we talk about misalignments or who's to blame, one of the key pieces that we need to kind of look at is just how, small businesses look at pitching their businesses. They pitch their businesses a lot from features. What is it that, we have in our product? Our product does this. But what they really need to be focusing on is what problems does it solve for the government? What does it solve for Pinellas County? That's what the SDE program is really looking for, is to align those business owners with departments at Reverse Trade Show so that those departments have a particular problem and they're looking for a business to solve that problem. One of the things that we have on the table that we're looking at is a reverse pitch concept where the county is going to throw out some ideas around key problems that they have, with the idea that the small business,
I know somebody of them that partner with on that.
comes up with a solution on that. It's something that we've been kicking around for quite some time, but it has a lot of great support right now, and you'll see more of it coming forward. But I think, getting back to your the question, it's on both sides of the equation. It is the county really looking at how they frame RFPs to make it something that is a little more user-friendly for small businesses, but also small business owners taking the time to understand exactly what's required, how to market their business to government. Because B2B and B2C is really easy, but B2G is a whole new paradigm for a lot of businesses, and they need to take the time to do that. I've got a wonderful team.
Then I can just tell you, it's also not a fancy website. They never look at them. I'm telling you right now, they never look at your website. Go ahead.
I would be remiss if I did not say something when you say whose fault it is this. Our state is shooting itself in the foot in an incredible and dramatic way related to this exact thing. When we cut off the pathways for minority-owned businesses, for women-owned businesses, to inspire them to say, if you will take that step and start this business, there will be a customer for you in the government. When we stop talking about that, we have stopped that opportunity for people to take that leap into small business development, into entrepreneurship. I really do believe we are going to be feeling the effects of this for years, if not decades to come. And
I want to add to that because you're making a very good point. Have any of you guys ever heard of the 8A program? Absolutely. So 8A program was specifically designed for what she's speaking of on a federal level. It's one of the most tedious processes you have to go through. Everything has to line up perfectly. We just recently got kicked off of it just for them to find out we sent them everything 4 months ago, just to get reinstated, just to be told there's no money for it because it's actually federally illegal to donate them, to push the money that way. So what she's saying is it's harder than what you think because of your founders, a lot of your founders and most of your most successful company, just in case you're an investor out there. The women-ran businesses have an 85% more chance of being successful and having a successful exit, as well as employing more people than any business ever ran by a man. And then think about your odds now. That means, do you want Kobe Bryant or Shaquille O'Neal to take the free throw? It's literally what that comparison feels like.
And then just added one quick thing. That 8A program did a couple great things. It made a lot of female millionaires, and it made a lot of minority millionaires across this great country. And so without that type of programming, it's gonna be hard to close the wealth gap.
And so, Brooke, that's kind of one of the hard questions we were going to lead into. From where you sit, is the capital problem in this region actually a capital problem, or is it just the funded ecosystem inside of the companies themselves? How are we going to actually balance this out? Because we have some of the money that lies there. We have some of the opportunities.
oh, I love this topic so much. Okay, so people ask me why I run a co-working space, right? And I have a very, very easy answer for that. My mission is to connect people who have money with people who need money. That's it, plain and simple. No doubt there is capital here. All you have to do is get in a boat and turn and look at the high rises, right? But and I hate to throw this word around, but I really believe this is a question of community. When people feel connected to the place that they are, when they feel connected to their neighbor, when they feel connected to the parent in their PTA, when they feel connected to the business that's next door to them, they want those things to succeed, right? When you have this sense of we are all in this together, you're going to start investing in your companies here. And for better or for worse, a lot of this money has come into our region from other places. And, old time St. Pete people, I'm from here. I know all of them, bitch and moan about how much this sucks and they're making everything unaffordable. I think it's time for us to reframe this thinking and think about how can we welcome people into this community to help build the wealth here for everybody. There are some amazing innovative projects that are happening right now to get smaller scale investment, to invest in local companies. The idea is we do that, you hire local, you start building wealth locally, you exit some of your startup, and then you have people who leave and go to other startups here locally. We're doing a great job. We have a long way to go, but my answer to your question, my very simplistic answer is community. Connect with people, talk to them, be out physically in the community, be people know what's going on, make people care about what you're doing, and moreover, you care about what other people are doing.
Allison, I wanted to ask you, and oh, okay, go ahead.
I was just going to add, I think there's also a flip side to that same coin. Customers. You can't be a successful business unless you have customers. And so sometimes we see these amazing, creative, innovative tech companies who cannot find local customers. So we do a lot to try to help them. Our government partners, our private industry partners do a lot to help find customers within the region, but also help them find customers nationally and potentially internationally. And so you've got to leverage all that. I love that you live here, you work here, your employees are here. I'm going to help you find customers wherever you can find customers because that money's going to come back here. So that's the other side of the coin that we also need to pay attention to and devote some time and energy is helping all of you be successful with the customers.
So before we move on, I wanted to give you all the opportunity to answer some of the questions that we're getting from the audience. How important is building a strong ecosystem of experienced executive board members and fractional leaders in attracting growth stage companies to the region? Anybody in this?
Yeah, I can take that. First of all, I want to comment.
Whoever put that together, you need to do
This is a good one. I want to comment on a couple of things here, especially with what Brooke and Allison just spoke about. Like I told you, I raised capital, early stage capital in this town on my own.
So hold on, we're gonna also have to show them this Allion. Allion is the chair of Tiger 21 in Tampa Bay. So just if you guys haven't heard of Tiger 21, look it up. It's not a clothing line, but it's a lot of good people in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And I've been like I said earlier, I've been a part of helping a lot of early stage founders raise millions of dollars in this city. And when people ask about advice and so forth, a lot of what Brooke just said, this is something that really hits people. When I say it, I've seen people write 7-figure checks right in front of me to early stage founders and so forth. I've never seen someone write a large check or even a medium-sized check to a stranger. I mean, this is like something that I get people come to me all the time like, oh, I got to get investors. I need investors. And understand, or especially early stage, that wall might as well be 10 feet thick. People, when it comes to early stage investment, it is a relationship. They better have gotten to know you personally, or second best, know somebody that mutually that the two of you know that's going to vouch for you. And it's not even that simple. And it takes more than one meeting and one interaction to get a 6-figure or 7-figure investment. It's a lot. I just wish I could convey that to people more often about what it really takes to get an early stage investment. It takes, like you said, relationship building, connectivity, putting the time in around that. People have to. People also don't realize too. It's a marriage. People don't get this either. It's a marriage. When an investor writes an early stage check, we're basically getting married. Most people don't get this. It's like they think, oh, the investors just give up money. No, they want to know you, like you, trust you. You're vouched for by other people. They're the same way. They're basically dating you. How far would I go with this person? Where would I go with this person? It is so incredibly deep. And then at the end, by the way, they get cold feet because once they get married, they're with somebody you barely know. So much goes into this. And so it just gets back to what Brooke said about relationship building. If you really want early stage. Now, there are other ways to get early stage capital that are a little more of a process driven, but it's very similar because the risk is high. I don't really know you. You're early stage, so you're high risk. I'm probably going to lose my money. It's like in a marriage. Let's get married. We've known each other 3 months. We're probably going to be divorced next year, but let's go and do it anyway.
The only counter I have to that, just speaking up for the unspoken, is the investors have to get better when they actually want to build relationships. The problem I see with a lot of investors is, one of the things I like to say is, I can go to East Tampa, get a catfish, sit at a used tire shop and have a conversation there, but I can also go up to the mayor and have a conversation with her.
Yeah.
Normally it's not in
But here's the thing: when you're the hot girl or the hot guy, you're still failing. You don't have to do nothing. Think about it.
But this goes into your actual open.
My point is, if you got the goods, you got the money, why do you have to do anything?
I'm trying not to go too far, but I'll answer. To answer you is because just because you have the money doesn't mean you're successful, because most venture capitalists fail at an 85% to 90% ratio.
Yeah.
They fail because they have a limited scope for people they talk to and the opportunities they give. So you give a mediocre person that's failed 7 times over 6 more chances, but the person that's very successful that you never met, that's your fault.
Right. Well, I just would delineate between a professional investor and an angel investor. An angel investor isn't usually trying to part ways with their money. They have to be There's have to be a reason, a romance, and a lot of factor for our part with this money. I might do it, I might not. That's different. We have to do a whole workshop on this, a whole talk on angel investing and so forth. To your point, a professional investor, someone who is looking for deals, whole different conversation. Someone's looking for deals, wanting to place capital, wanting to put capital to work. They're usually working upstream, later stage, unfortunately. So a whole nother conversation around early stage investing and the romance and the courtship of it and the psychology of it and whether they should or should.
Heavy on the psychology. Now, we had a whole part on, I want to get to some of the questions, and I also want to let the team facilitate. So this is actually 30-second. Only 1 or 2 people have to answer. Hub 2 referendum is on the ballot in November. Anybody know what it is?
I do.
That's what I thought. So if it fails, say out loud what the region loses, not a setback. What do we actually lose if that referendum doesn't go through? You guys can do the research on it. We got to get to the next part.
It's not called Hub 2, by the way. It's a port lease extension referendum. So if you want to learn about it.
Okay.
It is what it would lose, opportunity for tech businesses to live and grow in St. Pete. And probably on the scale of 30 plus businesses, probably 100 plus jobs. Really quick, we operate a building called the Maritime and Defense Tech Hub, located in the Port of St. Pete. It's owned by the city of St. Pete, and we lease it in St. Pete. Business concerns on waterfront property owned by the city typically have a lease, base lease of 5 years, and then the port has a base lease of 10 years. We're asking for the port to have a base lease of 25 years, which would mirror what the airport is, the Albert Wooded Airport. Bottom line, what it means is as the city progresses, what happens at the Port of St. Pete, as we consider creating a second building, we could go to city council, to the mayor's office, and request a longer lease, which allows for payback of the investment dollars we might be able to get to build the building. And for the businesses to do the improvements to their spaces so they could actually operate in there. So it's a little bit complicated, but it makes a lot of sense. It is not a given. Nobody gets a lease from day one because of this. It just gives us permission to go ask for leases. And then you have to go through the whole process. When we got the lease for the hub, it was 9 months. So these are not quick processes. It just means I don't add 2 years and have to go to a ballot every time we want to do it. We just want to be able to start the conversation.
Add something to that. So somebody was talking about how hard it is to do business with the government. That's a perfect example, right? But Allison is an amazing repository of facts and figures and knows her stuff more than anybody I think I've ever met. I'm going to come at this from a more touchy-feely standpoint. I think it sends a really strong message to the people who are already here and anybody who's thinking of moving here of where St. Petersburg priorities are. I think that would be a disastrous marketing message when it comes to branding our city. We already say, and I'm speaking about St. Petersburg, not all Pinellas County, although I think there is a little bit of that too. We have a bit of a branding problem, right? We were talking about misconceptions. People vaguely know, yeah, it's kind of cool. It's on the Gulf and it's pretty and in parks and rich people. But we don't have a really strong story, and I think we're at a real inflection point to develop that. And I think the decisions we make now are going to determine what that story is. And if we do not pass that, that story is not going to be, we support business. We are about innovation. We want to attract more of it and build it and grow it. It's going to be exactly the opposite.